When you talk about the biggest underachievers in NBA history, Russell Westbrook's name has to be one of the first ones you bring up, because this is a guy that consistently, time in and time out, has underperformed and underachieved in the playoffs. And before I get started with this video, you guys, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Your boy's NBA knowledge back with another banger. But let's get back to the topic of discussion and talk about why Russell Westbrook is the biggest underachiever in NBA history. When Russell Westbrook came into the NBA, he was looked at as a defensive specialist. That was his role for his position. But obviously things changed. He showed promise on the offensive end, and the defensive side was kind of lacking. But regardless, offensively, he showed a lot of promise, primarily due to his athleticism being on another level, especially compared to the average point guard. And over time, Russell Westbrook would continually get better, and he had Kevin Durant alongside with him, one of the best players and scorers in the league at that time, and still is one of the best scorers and players in the league. And even with more time, they would add talent such as Serge Ibaka and a young James Harden, who eventually won the Sixth Man of the Year. Ibaka was one of the best defenders in the league, and they would even make an NBA Finals in 2012 and lose to the Miami Heat. But even in doing so, Russell Westbrook was showing flashes that he wasn't going to be a winning player for this organization. As in a game where his teammate Kevin Durant had 32 points on 55% shooting from the field, and a game 2 while they're up 1-0, a chance to be on the road and steal both home games in Miami, Russell Westbrook would lay a goose egg of a performance of 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists, but would shoot 10 of 26, which is 38% from the field, and 2 of 6 from behind the arc. And just imagine you lose that game by single digits, and your point guard is going out there jacking up bad shots, turning it over recklessly, and just doesn't know how to slow down the tempo. And that would come back to bite them again in the closeout game in Game 5, where he had 19 points along with 6 assists and 5 rebounds, but would shoot 4 of 20 from the field, which is 20%. And 0 of 5 from behind the arc. And once again, his teammate KD is going out there and dropping 32 points while shooting 54% from the field and 50% from behind the arc. Kevin Durant was going out there routinely dropping 30 pieces, and Russell Westbrook's inconsistencies of bad shooting nights and turning the ball over, it would consistently cost the Oklahoma City Thunder games. And this would be a common theme for this Oklahoma City Thunder team with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Because as James Harden departed in the 2012 offseason, it became more of a responsibility for Russell Westbrook and KD, as the organization put all their eggs in that basket for that duo to lead them forward in the future. But unfortunately, Russell Westbrook could not live up to his end of the bargain, as you go back to numerous series and numerous moments where Westbrook just completely underperformed. You can go to 2014, the year that the Oklahoma City Thunder were able to win nearly 60 games and got to the Western Conference Finals. And mind you, Russell Westbrook missed a good portion of the season, so Kevin Durant was really carrying them throughout the regular season. But I'm not blaming Russ for that, it is what it is, injuries happen. But by playoff time, he was fully healthy, so there really was no excuse for what happened in Game 6, because being down 3-2, you're back at home trying to be able to take this to 7 games so you can close it out, even though it would be on the road. But you have all the juice of your home fans just salivating for you to get back to the NBA Finals and get that rematch against the Miami Heat. But unfortunately, Westbrook would shoot below 38% from the field and 1 of 6 from behind the arc in that Game 6, and it only got worse come the fourth quarter, as in the fourth quarter, Westbrook would shoot 37% again, and then it would go to overtime because of Kevin Durant's heroics, not Russell Westbrook's, and Westbrook would again lay a terrible performance in overtime, only having 4 points on 1 of 7 shooting. Yes, 14% shooting from the field in the overtime possessions. But if you're a Russell Westbrook fan, you may be saying, bro, it's just one game. Why are you killing him for singular games? Everybody has bad games in their career. Fine. Well then, how do you explain what happened in 2016? As they suffered 3 straight losses after being up 3-1 on the Golden State Warriors. Yes, the infamous blown 3-1 lead before the other blown 3-1 lead by the Golden State Warriors. As in the last 3 games of that series, Russell Westbrook would average 26 points along with 11 assists and 7 rebounds, but he would also shoot below 40% from the field, 26% from behind the arc on over 6 attempts a game, while also averaging 5 turnovers. And to me, the biggest indictment of that series is what happened in Game 6, because a Game 6 is very important, especially for the team that is up in the series. You are at home if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder. You're trying to close it out for your fans. You have the home court advantage. This is the purpose of having home court advantage for moments like this. And Westbrook has been in this position. Like I said earlier, he folded another Game 6 in 2014 against the San Antonio Spurs as well. But in the fourth quarter of a Game 6 that they needed to win in order to get to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2012, Westbrook would have 8 points on 2 of 7 shooting from the field and would record 4 turnovers. And those 4 turnovers, guess what? They came in the last 2 minutes of the game. So it is clear that Westbrook in Oklahoma City alongside Kevin Durant, it just wasn't going to work out, and obviously it led to KD leaving and joining the Golden State Warriors. We don't have to rehash all of that again. But then you fast forward, because he did have a great MVP season despite having a rough playoff shooting series, but honestly he was by himself. I'm not going to kill him for that, but he would end up getting Paul George and Carmelo Anthony in the offseason. Now, say what you want about Carmelo Anthony, him not being what he used to be during his time in Oklahoma City, I understand that, but Paul George was still an all-star level player, and in that series against the Utah Jazz, though he did have his struggles, Russell Westbrook did not help matters. Yes, Westbrook had an amazing Game 6, he had a great Game 5, I give him props for that. But let's not excuse the other poor performances that he had in that series, as in the first 4 games, he shot 36 to 37% from the field and 21% from behind the arc, around 5 turnovers as well. You just can't win with that. And mind you, he still has talent on the roster, because mind you, Paul George is the second all-time great player that he has played with on his team. Yes, I know he played with Harden earlier on, but at that point, Harden was not the James Harden that we know today. But Kevin Durant, that's an all-time great player and will go down as a top 12 to 15 player of all time. Paul George, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, and the next season that he had PG, I might as well talk about that. Paul George finished top 3 in MVP voting. Westbrook was an all-star and all-NBA performer, and going into the postseason, they were facing an injured Portland Trailblazers squad who was missing their starting center in Jusuf Nurkic and had to give minutes to Enes Kanter of all people. Yes, Enes Kanter. So you would think that series would just be gift wrapped for the Oklahoma City Thunder and Russell Westbrook, but we all know the story. Rinse, cycle, repeat with Russell Westbrook, as he would have 23 points as his average along with 11 assists and 9 rebounds, but would also average 5 turnovers a game, shoot 36% from the field, 32% from behind the arc, and yeah, just a terrible performance from Westbrook all around. And mind you, in the closeout game, Westbrook would also miss as many shots as his entire team. Yes, as many shots as his entire squad. He would have 29 points and shoot 11 of 31 from the field. Just a pathetic performance, honestly, a real pathetic performance. And mind you, on the other team, guess what Damian Lillard gave him that day? 50 piece, a whole 50 piece, and the sidestepped game winner to close it out. Damian Lillard single-handedly sent the Oklahoma City Thunder into a rebuild, and I can keep going about Westbrook's career. I could talk about his time in Houston and how his play contributed to them blowing that situation up in the bubble. And then let's also not forget what just happened in Washington, playing alongside a guy who averaged over 30 plus and finished second in the scoring race. But honestly, that would just be a waste of my time, because we all know how it ends with Westbrook. He can play with all the great talent he wants. This is a guy that's played with Kevin Durant, played with Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, Bradley Beal, Serge Ibaka, James Harden when he was younger as a 6th man and in his prime as an MVP caliber player. But yet, not a single ring. Not even a finals appearance aside from the one that he had in 2012, where he had 2 of those guys. So as far as I'm concerned, Russell Westbrook is the biggest underachiever in history, and that will be solidified as the biggest underachiever without question if he can't get it done without LeBron James and Anthony Davis, 2 guys that are Hall of Fame caliber players and have already proven to be winners individually without Russell Westbrook. So as far as I'm concerned, this is his last chance to escape that label of being the biggest underachiever in NBA history. But you guys let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. Do not forget to drop a like on this video. This is your boy David from NBA Knowledge signing out. Peace.